Band names are weird. Band names have always been weird. A band name is usually the first thing encountered when getting to know a new group or artist. Some are to the point, like the Dave Matthews Band. Some convey their tone or genre, like Teen Suicide. Others are kinda just there, like Prince Daddy and the Hyena, or Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. Nonetheless, band names are important. However, like most other elements of music, we often judge them by their outer shell. Album names, album titles, promo work, social networking, and pretty much every other aspect of a band is judged, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Promotion is obviously used with the intent of targeting a specific audience, so sometimes other audiences are alienated in the process. This, then, includes an artist's name. So then, what if an artist's title is so incredibly neutral, so plain and normal that there is no emotion invoked by hearing it whatsoever? Well, let me introduce you to Microwave. Forming in Atlanta in 2012, the American rock band has released several projects over the course of their career. They've been on Audiotree Live twice, supported bands like Motion City Soundtrack, Jimmy Eat World, and The Wonder Years, and are currently supporting Boston Manor after the release of their Pure Noise debut, Death is a Warm Blanket. This video isn't about that record, though. While good in its own right, I want to talk about a different album. Much Love, their sophomore effort, is the topic of today's video. This video is one of a few that I'm releasing, hopefully, before the end of the year. These videos are going to be looking at some of my favorite records I've heard this year, and why they're so incredible, at least in my mind. They don't necessarily have to be released this year, although some will be. The first one, you may have guessed obviously, is Much Love. Released September 30th, 2016, this album goes so fucking hard. I've heard this album so many times, got this record on vinyl after only a month of listening to it, and pretty much preached the hell out of it to all my friends. I'm sorry, guys, it's really fucking good. Let's actually look at the cover art real quick. Sporting all of the members in a line, including now departed guitarist Wesley Swanson, 80s style text with the title, band, and track list, and grain and noise throughout the entire piece, the album art quickly conveys a sort of older, nostalgic feel, reinforced immediately in the record. With that then, the first track is Roaches. Sounding, to me, at least, like a song straight out of a Deftones record, Roaches is quite literally about cockroaches. Kind of. The lyrics, while sparse, repeatedly remind us as the listener that they aren't hurting anybody, and they're kind of just along for the ride. The song goes into an extended instrumental before slowly fading out, quickly setting the tone for the record as one of mundanity, repetition, romantic simplicity, and an attempt at foreshadowing self-reflection. Lighterless, the next track comes quickly roaring in, soaked with distortion. Described as the nemesis of fun, the song goes on to describe small, menial tasks like building IKEA desks that are missing pieces, having no electricity, and being too shit-faced to remember hanging out with someone. Being content in being alone and bored, the narrator thrives in mundanity, and is sort of just okay with existing alone. With the next track being titled Dull, we can sort of assume what we're in for. A sort of ballad about a past relationship or lover, the narrator is quick to establish their affection and past experience with this person. Now that they've moved on, they don't really have much else to do, their finger hovering over the call button in the dark hours of the night. After a quick country-like tab, they repeat their aspiration to be known again by this person. Reluctantly coming to terms, however, they realize the person has moved on, and reflect on what that means to them. Their conversations have become dull and awkward, and they have grown apart for good. And back to first world inconveniences, Neighbors is next. Forgetting Wallace and cars 7 miles away because they were too high to drive, the narrator describes himself as that one neighbor that you try to ignore all the time, but wave to so you don't seem like an asshole. Once again flourishing in mundanity, they have accepted who they are as a douche, living the life in their own right, and being both unbothered and incredibly annoyed at everything around them. Starting to become a narrative of one previous lover, Awkward Silence has come back around again on Busy. With the bass roaring almost completely alone through the first verse, one-word responses are traded back and forth simply to avoid further silence. Really beginning to move on, they have decided to cut ties instead of fixing things to avoid any further effort, calling themselves pathetic, saying, with fine screeching in the back as the heavy bass returns. The narrator is apathetic towards their former lover, describing the uselessness of their conversations and confronting them on their lack of interest in seeing them anymore. Then, reinforcing their desire to cut ties, they leave, blocking out their emotions and quote-unquote moving forward. We have now entered the second half of the record, with Drown, moving along the progression of the story. Looking at their lover's mask of solidarity, the narrator misses their dysfunctionality, reminding both themselves and their lover that finding pleasure in their pain, the narrator bounces back and forth between wanting them there and never wanting to see them again. This is also another great example of a roaring bass, massively complementing the resentful, soft, contemptuous lyrics, the last lines cutting off at "hate to be around you, I hope you'll stay." Then, reaching what I believe to be the climax of the record, Vomit is the big fight. While in the past only arguing on the weekends, it now happens every night, and has simply led up to this. Lashing out in rage, the narrator destroys their bedroom. Lashing out at love, lashing out at God, lashing out at the world, the narrator has broken down, screaming out, It's over. It is truly over, and now they must bear the consequences and move on. Whimper, the next song, assumedly occurs months after they have left each other. Meeting by chance, they fall into each other again, being rough and passionate. The narrator wonders what their ex-lover's new man might think of them together, and begins regretting what he's done. Confronting them again, saying he feels like a novelty being used just for excitement, when they aren't even friends anymore. Despite this, still I'd give all my self-respect up to be with you again. The following minute and a half features an emotional, heavy instrumental, with whimper-like vocals featured throughout, mimicking crying in a sense. The realization of loneliness is hit, and is inescapable as the feedback fades out. Homebody occurs even longer after the events of the record so far. An upbeat sounding track with sort of dark lyrics, the narrator has returned to how they were before everything. Unbothered, living simply and without much to their name. They've ended up where they started, as nothing has really changed. Love is in the past to them, and they are content with that. Living in mundanity once again, they've moved on and will continue to do so. Homebody transitions into Wrong, the closing track. This song offers the closure we've been desiring the entire record. The narrator rips into them, telling them that they don't need healing, that everything was off and that they were right. Describing their relationship like a movie where they've reflected on everything, and have realized that it's safe to say that they were wrong. The remaining 2 minutes repeat the phrase, "I was wrong," repeating with drums, repeating with guitar, repeating with vocals, repeating in everything. They were wrong, have accepted it, and want to truly move on. The regret is heard heavily, and they don't seem to know what to do about it. They've moved on and forgotten so many times throughout the record that now that they've actually reached a point of closure, they feel almost lost without all the conflict and heartache. It's over, for real this time, and they don't know how to feel about it. Taking into account the previous discography of the band, I think this record also shows something really, really cool. A little bit before Microwave's first project, Stovall, was released, Nathan Hardy, the frontman of the band, actually left the Mormon church, something discussed pretty heavily and obviously throughout Stovall. While it is mentioned briefly in Much Love, I see it as sort of an adjustment to life. On Stovall, he has denounced religion, angry at the world and everything in it, but on Much Love, he has begun to grow past his anger, settling into his new life and new relationships, even if they are as bad as he seems to describe. The album works together on so many different levels. The interactive drums, the sick guitar riffs, and the roaring bass hitting in every song. Seriously, people never mix bass loud enough. Hashtag Bass Lives Matter. Get it trending. It's worth it. I swear. So yeah, that's one of 3 of my favorite albums of the year. I sincerely hope you check out this record. My love for it knows no bounds. One might even say I have too much love for it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The other 2 videos should roll out pretty soon. Complications might come up because I'm trying to balance this and doing school and music and very fun things and stuff. Yeah, you know the usual drill. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't if you didn't. Subscribe if you're new and you did enjoy. Don't subscribe for me. Don't subscribe to me for the sake of it, because empty views hurt my soul. I don't know. Yeah. 3 videos in 3 weeks. In 4 weeks. This is gonna be fun. Oh boy. Alright, I'm done. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.